To the extent that an objective has been clearly laid out, stopping Iran from developing nuclear weapons appears to be the primary one. But the problem is that we were told that Iran's nuclear program was obliterated. That's the White House's own phrasing. Still on the website, you can go check it. Just a few months ago, it was obliterated. So how could Iran's nuclear program go from total obliteration, annihilation, to a matter so urgent that we have to go to war over it in the span of like 7 or 8 months? That's a problem. That doesn't make sense. It just doesn't. This is a question that still has not been even close to coherently answered.
President Trump, he condemned, or I guess you would say put on blast, Israel for bombing some oil-related sites. He was pretty upset, and he told them not to do that, which brings us to the opposite of that. I think it's important to contrast. President Trump is clearly, whether you agree with his action or not, he's leading the dance. This is all about China. He's been pulling those levers, and he's leading the dance with Israel, saying these are the parameters. We are the ones who are setting the rules here. You don't go and bomb this oil site. How much you want to bet that Israel plays ball with that going forward? People can be mad about it happening, or people can recognize for the first time you have a president who says, no, we're not doing that. Enter Lindsey Graham, which brings us to the latest installment of You're Not Helping. Look, never go full Lindsey Graham. Here's what he did yesterday on Fox News.
The Jews have been down that road before. To our friends in Israel, God bless you. I'm with you in every way. To all the anti-Seminites, to all the isolationists, I don't believe. Forget it. I'm not with you. I'm with Israel. I will be with Israel to our dying day. They're the best ally we could hope for. Finally, to my friends in Saudi Arabia.
I disagree with
I've been your
pretty much all of that.
champion. I think the Crown Prince has taken Saudi Arabia in a completely different direction in a good way. But here's what I want to say to Saudi Arabia tonight. I'm willing to do a mutual defense agreement with your country to give you protection in perpetuity. Under the agreement I've been pushing, and I hope we can continue to talk about, if you're attacked by Iran, we would go to war for you. To Saudi Arabia, our embassy was hid in Riyadh. Do you not have an obligation to join the fight with us? You have yet to do that. So if you do not believe the American embassy being attacked in Riyadh would trigger mutual self-defense, maybe we shouldn't do a treaty with you.
Jesus.
Hey, you know, like, how do you have the authority to do that? Lindsey Graham?
The United States has a growing internal threat that must be dealt with, and his name is Senator Lindsey Graham. This guy is a homicidal maniac, as I said yesterday, in my opinion.
And at a debate in Greenville, South Carolina in February 2016, a moderator asked Trump if he stood by his opposition to the war in Iraq. And this is what he said.
Obviously, the war in Iraq was a big, fat mistake, all right? They lied. Okay. They said there were weapons of mass destruction. There were none, and they knew there were none. There were no weapons of mass destruction. If you listen to him and you listen to some of the folks that I've been listening to, that's why we've been in the Middle East for 15 years, and we haven't won anything. We've spent $5 trillion in the Middle East because of thinking like that. We've spent and Lindsey Graham, who backs him, who had 0 on his poll. So let me just tell you something. We've spent. I only tell the truth, lobbyists. We've spent $5 trillion all over the middle. We have to rebuild our country. We have to rebuild our infrastructure. You listen to that, you're going to be there for another 15 years.
All right, Governor Bush.
World War III.
Now, his campaign was, to put it mildly, truly America first. Trump won his election by running a campaign focused on advancing the interests of our country, of America. And now, with the advent of war in Iran, many of us are asking an obvious question, a fair question, even if it makes a lot of people upset when we ask it, which is, why are we doing this? Does this benefit our own country first and foremost? The administration has struggled with that question for days. They just have, until last night when Marco Rubio finally gave a clear and straightforward response.
The United States conducted this operation with a very clear goal in mind. I haven't got a chance to see a lot of reporting
I don't understand what the confusion is. Let me explain it to you, and I'll do it once again as clearly as possible. Perhaps you'll report it that way. The United States is conducting an operation to eliminate the threat of Iran's short-range ballistic missiles and the threat posed by their Navy, particularly to naval assets. That is what it is focused on doing right now, and it's doing quite successfully. I'll leave it to the Pentagon and the Department of War to discuss the tactics behind that and the progress that's being made. That is the clear objective of this mission. The second question that's been asked is, why now? Well, there's two reasons why now. The first is it was abundantly clear that if Iran came under attack by anyone, the United States or Israel or anyone, they were going to respond and respond against the United States. The orders had been delegated down to the field commanders. It was automatic, and in fact, it bared to be true because, in fact, within an hour of the initial attack on the leadership compound, the missile forces in the south and in the north, for that matter, had already been activated to launch. In fact, those had already been pre-positioned. The third is the assessment that was made that if we stood and waited for that attack to come first before we hit them, we would suffer much higher casualties. And so the president made the very wise decision. We knew that there was going to be an Israeli action. We knew that that would precipitate an attack against American forces. And we knew that if we didn't preemptively go after them before they launched those attacks, we would suffer higher casualties and perhaps even higher those killed. And then we would all be here answering questions about why we knew that and didn't act.
Now, it'd be hard to imagine a worse line of reasoning that could be offered at a time like this. Americans were wondering why exactly we're suddenly engaged in a war with Iran, wanted to hear a clear and compelling explanation that would justify the cost of the war, including the loss of American lives. And instead, we're told that Israel forced our hand. Now, to be fair, the administration has since tried to walk this back. There are those saying that it was taken out of context. But the clip we just played was a clip posted by the White House to their social media feeds. It's not one that we made. And he said what he said. There's no way around it. You know, whatever you think about the war in Iran, we should all be able to agree that the effeminate, closeted neocon Senator Lindsey Graham from South Carolina should shut the hell up. We should all be able to agree on that point. Graham has been, of course, one of the biggest cheerleaders of this war. He's been a cheerleader for every war for his entire life. He's never met a bombing campaign or war or military operation that he didn't love. He's never seen one that he didn't want to see expanded and continued. He really is just a psychopath. I mean, this guy truly is. And now with the war in Iran, Lindsey Graham has been all over the place, all over Fox, every single night. I mean, he's practically orgasmic with glee over this whole thing. And also presenting himself as the guy in charge. Like, increasingly, he's centering himself as the main figure here, as the decision maker in the story.
I mean, I think I'm in a good position to say this. There was no one more enthusiastic about both the Afghanistan and Iraq war. When they began, it was, of course, right after 9/11, and the country didn't just have another 2 million illegals dumped on it. We weren't going through all of this transgender madness. We weren't quite as in hoc to China. So the country itself wasn't in nearly as much trouble. Oh my gosh, the crime right now. Think of the crime. The Democratic policy is just release criminals, release criminals. Those are issues that have an effect on Americans. That's making America first, cleaning up that stuff. Waging pointless wars around the world and being the world's policeman. How many times do we have to vote on this? And I mean, Trump was attacked for the things he said in 2016. Remember, he said, you know, Jeb's father lied us into war, and the Wall Street Journal and New York Post assured us that that was going to kill him in South Carolina, biggest military state in the country, and that was in the South Carolina primary. And next day, primaries hold. Who wins? Huge majority. Donald Trump. We have voted on this over and over and over again. So now what? We've already had how many? 7 Americans die, not to mention 166 school children in our name for a war that does not make one American safer.
The trust the experts logic died with COVID, and it's never coming back. From now on and forevermore, the experts will need to make their case clearly and coherently, explain exactly what they're doing and why they're doing it, and what the end game is, and what information justifies whatever course of action they've chosen. Just simply trusting that they have it all under control is not going to work anymore, at least for those of us with a memory that stretches back farther than last week.
As you know, my shows are rather spontaneous, and I don't sit here with a highly planned script like Sean Hannity. I don't have a teleprompter. I have a Michael prompter. Of course he has to end the war now. The world is burning. The world is destabilized. Virtually every major target that Iran had is decimated. What the hell are we doing there now?
Here, there's a couple of clips of Lindsey Graham from yesterday. This is from one of his 97 Fox hits yesterday, where he's talking about he makes a plea to another country, and he does it in a way where it appears that he believes he has absolute authority. Listen.
To my friends in Saudi Arabia, I've been your biggest champion. I think the Crown Prince has taken Saudi Arabia in a completely different direction in a good way. But here's what I want to say to Saudi Arabia tonight. I'm willing to do a mutual defense agreement with your country to give you protection in perpetuity. Under the agreement I've been pushing, and I hope we can continue to talk about, if you're attacked by Iran, we would go to war for you.
Because at what point did we vote to appoint Lindsey Graham emperor of the world? I don't remember that happening. I don't remember that initiative. Was that a ballot initiative somewhere? Lindsey Graham is in charge of everything. Lindsey Graham is a Caesar. When did that happen? Because where else would he derive the authority to, by himself, unilaterally offer permanent defense agreements to other countries? Because notice the I word he's using. He's not saying we, and he's not even saying, well, I'm going to advocate for a policy or a bill, or I'm going to go talk to Trump. He's saying I. He's saying I will do this. What I am offering you personally as Lindsey Graham is a permanent defense agreement. Now, never mind the fact that it's an insane idea. I mean, we should not be entering into a permanent defense agreement with anyone. A defense agreement in perpetuity? So we're on the hook? Anything that happens to Saudi Arabia, now we have to go to war over it? You're signing up future Americans to have to go to war for Saudi Arabia?
Turns out the regime who chanted death to America and death to Israel was gifted death from America and death from Israel. This is not a so-called regime change war, but the regime sure did change.
No, Pete, we can't have two separate objectives. This is now what, and it goes back to Lindsey Graham begging the Saudis to come in here. You're not going to get the Arab states to come in here because they understand the makeup of the war changed Saturday night. Now you have a Persian nationalist movement. This is why President Trump's initial objective was to support the overwhelming dissident groups in Persia that hated being under the boot of the Ayatollahs and the mullahs. Why is that not happening? Yes, they're still under huge threat, but one of the reasons here is this war shifted on Saturday night because the Israelis did something that the president absolutely didn't want to have happen, and we shouldn't be trying to gloss it over. We should be trying to address it.
It doesn't matter if our tankers or our ships are going to escort tankers through the strait. These guys can go under the water with submarines. There's a long video of thousands of these things that they have ready to deploy. So killing 14 mine-laying ships isn't going to do the trick either. No one in their right mind is going to take a crew and 300 members through that strait if they think they're going to die.
The Wall Street Journal reporting some of Mr. Trump's advisors are privately urging him now, please look for an exit plan amid these oil prices and concerns that political backlash is heading Republicans' way. And we do not want people's gas prices, and oil prices affect all prices, to be going up prior to the midterms. There are reports that top Republicans in difficult races in November have been calling the White House saying, please find a way out. This is not going to be helpful. Sean Hannity is Lindsey Graham by a different name. It's amazing to me to watch them cheerlead this. I mean, we've got 7 U.S. personnel dead. We've got a girls' school, 175 young girls dead in Iran, and there's serious dispute. We'll get into who's behind that, but there's only serious dispute because the president is now saying that it wasn't us, but his own defense secretary over his shoulder is saying it's under investigation. And senators like Kennedy are saying, yeah, it looks like it was us. And the Wall Street Journal and others are reporting it was us. Last night on Hannity's program, Lindsey Graham did, like he was our Secretary of State or even our president. It was obscene. Who does he think he is? No one elected him as president. No one ever would. As if the American public would elect Lindsey Graham to lead this war. He thinks he's the commander-in-chief. He's starting to sound truly deluded, like someone needs a psychiatric intervention. Make agreements with other countries. Defend them if they go to war. This is what he's saying.
Iran does have a conventional military. They are a proud and they are a big country. Possible case scenario is Iran says, okay, you humiliated us, you killed all of our leaders. We're going to go make this a regional mess and try to get as many people involved as possible. They're going to go after Americans. They're going to go after Saudis. They're going to go after everybody imaginable just to create a big mess and to try to draw the world into it. Because understand, the Iranian people are widely respected and not necessarily are always in sync with leadership. But if and when the people of Iran feel like Persia is being defaced and humiliated and disrespected, we don't know where that is going to go. And that's my final reason why I am always skeptical of military intervention. And when a lot of the sometimes warmongering wing gets too excited, you don't know, actually. You need to have a lot of humility.